everybody, and welcome to Reed Spider-Man Crawl Space Edition. Check us out at the SpiderManCrawlspace.com. Well, I'm back, guys. Ryan Painbot Reed, ready to, of course, review the latest Dark Web tie-in issues. That's right, Mary Jane Black Cat Dark Web issue number 1 by Jed McCabe and John Smith. Of course, looking at Dark Web Ms. Marvel. And of course, wrap it all up with the Gold Goblin number 2 crossover issue for Dark Web before I sail on into Spider-Man Lost Hunt number 2. So let's go, guys. Hit that slot machine and go right into the review for Mary Jane and Black Cat, or is it Black Cat and Mary Jane Dark Web number 1? Either way, we're good either way. You know, it's fun times. So let's get into the pros. First of all, I do like the fact this actually kicks off some one parts. I do like how Black Cat, of course, how she gets involved. The fact that she is working with everything happening with Dark Web, with the infernal parts of Limbo, and the fact that she made a promise to keep Mary Jane protective, and her aunt in shock find out that Mary Jane has powers now, and the fact she's protecting Paul and the kids, and the fact that Paul knows about these powers that Peter doesn't, leads to some very interesting situations. I also like the fact of how they deal with all the demonic devices and things that have been released thanks to the powers of Limbo here, thanks to Ben Reilly and Madeline Pryor. So it's a lot of fun, and their relationship is still very solid here. Them also bringing up what they did last time. I really like the fact Black Cat says, hey, these powers have been really good when we were taking on Tombstone and the Hood. That would have been really awesome. Well, I didn't have them there. Really? Why didn't you have it? It's a long story. No, why? No, it's a long story. I can't tell you, Felicia, because if I tell you the story, I'll ruin this whole great plot that's coming up later in the spring of 2023 for the main writer of this crazy crossover, Zeb Wells. The artwork is also very nice in the artwork. I think it works really well between the battles and the fights, as well as the different jackpot accesses and the way the art styles work, from everything from a flame sword to, of course, putting Mary Jane, and of course the pieces of Limbo and the demons they're battling. I actually enjoy that. Also, the characterization, McKay's got really knocked down between Felicia and Mary Jane. It's a great little story on that. And of course, the backup story with the Mask of Dr. Doom is actually a really great little story too, but that's unfortunately the best part of the book here for this crossover. Let's go into the cons, guys. First of all, the fact that we get thrown into this storyline, the fact that Mary Jane has been keeping all these secrets, talking about everything, but the fact is it's a long story. I can't tell you. You can't know. No, it's my responsibility, but we're right now literally in the X-Men version of hell, but I can't explain what's really going on. We have no time for this. Let's fight some demons. It's kind of like the story is trying to keep itself from actually explaining what the big mystery of, like, how does Mary Jane have powers and so forth. It doesn't make much sense. I do like they do a lot with the continuity between what just happened during the Iron Cat miniseries, as well as Mary Jane's involvement with Tony Stark when Tony sends the things to protect the kids and Paul, and get some of the inference there, and the fact that he doesn't really want to talk to Felicia because of everything that happened in the last couple of miniseries. There's nice bows of continuity, and I like the fact that ending with Belasco showing up at the end, the well-known X-Men and, of course, magic villain, of course, wanting something, and the reason he didn't randomly pull them in a portal, but actually did it on purpose so they could get everything set up so he can steal something from him, which most likely is the Bloodstones, because that's what Belasco is all about, guys. It's always the Bloodstones. It's always the Bloodstones. Bloodstone, 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 Bloodstone. One trick pony. I can't tell you story plots. That's one name park and we'll take it. But this is why I'm the pain bot. Yeah! This gets a C+ from me, everybody, if you're wondering. So I enjoy the little puns and some of the mystery around it, and I really do like what Belasco's probably got set up here for Black Cat. But at the same time is the fact that this is actually a series that's going to be going on at least another 4 months after Dark Web's over. It's kind of, really? Why is this series going on longer than the actual storyline it's actually involved with? So, I mean, the one-shot was a big hit, and I definitely like the fact that they got the team back together to make this series, but the truth is, outside some pieces with the relationship between Mary Jane and Black Cat and what the mystery is of the powers, there's not much else in this storyline with the crossover, so C+ from me. Well, I promise you this, guys, I won't put you through hell again to make you go through me and do another dance number, because I'm a kinder and more gentle person, especially when I have my vitamin D when it's cold outside and drinking my hot chocolate. So you know what? Let's get on to the next one, which is Dark Web, issue 1 of Ms. Marvel. and I'll get my notes out really quick, guys. Hey, I'm crazy, but I can't memorize that good. By Sabir Prisoner and Montero Thing on the artwork. So let's get into the pros. First of all, I like the fact that we actually get right into Kamala. This does feel like a natural progression from her other mini-series. We actually find the the girl that is trying to do better, trying to be a superhero, but is also trying to do right by people and trying to believe the good in that. I like the fact that a lot of the cast members post out that Kamala is working with Norman Osborn, who was the Green Goblin, who was a bad guy, who is honestly could have done a lot better, but yet is still being the bad guy, and why she doesn't even quite understand what's going on. But they do get the fact that Kamala is trying to make good on it because that's who she is. So I like the fact they actually work with those characters. And it's nice to see what all her other cast members are up to, from her family members to her friends. It was great seeing Bruno. I even like how they brought the Inventor back from the original storyline, which kicked all off. Those who don't know, the Inventor, of course, was a clone of Edison that, of course, was mixed with parakeet DNA and became kind of this crazy hybrid bird that wanted to kind of basically think that people were ruining the world and we should blame the children for it. I kid you not, guys. That's what the storyline is. But also the fact that while Limbo actually was able to bring him back and the robot machine, so then what is he first looking at? Ms. Marvel, because that was a storyline that was never truly picked up by the original writers either. So it's good to finally see that mystery up to. But of course, we get right into the cons here. I feel like Kamala's just kind of thrown in here. This book wants to be like her own book and saying what her life is and what everybody's doing thing, but then it's caught in this crossover when honestly the storylines probably could have helped fine without being thrown into the storylines, because there's a lot of questions of actually, why are you acting this way, Kamala? And she's like, well, I just want to act this way. It's kind of like, no, that doesn't make sense. So when she ends up going to the battles and of course being attacked by all the different demonic robots and goblin technologies to save her friends, and of course saying, oh no, I'm not really Kamala Khan, I'm Ms. Marvel, everybody, even though it's pretty obvious that most likely she is Miss Marvel, but her identity hidden too. Also, her encounter with, of course, Chasm with Ben Reilly kind of is just thrown in there. Yeah, she's in the wrong place at the right time, and we actually find out a little bit more that her going to Limbo in the original series is actually not something that was actually planned out. It was actually something that was kind of put in there. The Inventor is taking advantage of because Ben Reilly was trying to get everything for his spell book and things that attack Peter, and of course it just seemed to work out well, which of course leads into the classic, she's really not part of this crossover, she just kind of got caught in the mix by accident, which I'll talk a little bit more in the Golden Goblin #2 when it comes to Queen Goblin, by the way. It's not too much, and there's really not a lot of substance. I mean, it's great to see all the cast members, and the artwork I think is great, and it still feels like the voice of Kamala Khan, but also with most recent solicitations for the final story arc for Spider-Man, I think it's also starting to throw a little bit more that she is kind of out of character and somebody else is pulling the strings, and it is not the people of Limbo on this. So I'm actually going to give it a C. Because as a fan of Ms. Marvel and loving the original series and seeing a lot of these characters back around, still sounding like their characters, was a wonderful little piece too, but it doesn't feel in the natural progression of who Kamala Khan is and how she kind of just got thrown into the storyline because the main writers wanted her to be part of Peter's cast. It feels like they're kind of trying to do a little cleanup crew. And the fact this is only really 2 issues means it's going to be kind of up and done in one, and then we'll kind of move on with life to wherever Kamala's going to show up next. So it's not bad, but it doesn't get the strongest right. So C is for Cookie. Moving on from pain to not so much pain to even less pain, let's actually talk about the Golden Goblin issue #2 by Chris Bentley and John Silly. So let's get into the pros. I like the fact that this really picks up exactly what happened after we saw Norman getting beaten up by Ben Reilly in the main series with Dark Web. We actually are seeing a lot of Norman, how he is feeling, how he's paying for these sins, and the fact that he's been set up for this. I also like the fact that Norman hasn't just been, oh, my sins were erased, I'm trying to be good. He's actually been very tormented. The book has really done a great job of really getting to the head of Norman Osborn and dealing with these pains. And I really like the fact when he is actually confronted by Ashley Kafka, who of course reveals that she has his sins in them, and in fact that she's been manipulating him on the backside. And there was some involvement between Osborn Industries and of course Beyond Corp with the whole memory issues and the fact that Norman himself wants those removed. I like it because it's a great conflict of interest. It's also great little parts about how Norman is being haunted by his, and also the continuity, such as all the people he ended up getting killed, the fact that he killed his dog to save it from his dad, who would have been more abusive, and how he's told his own lies to make sure for his own insanity and own abuse he's suffering. And I like the fact that he gets called on it so much. And that Norman, in the long run, is out the only way really tried to free himself finally of his sins is to kill all the sins, but doesn't realize that'll cause a new sin because of murder about killing Ashley Kafka. And in fact, explain how the sins have actually mutated her into this demonic version of a goblin after what Beyond did. It's a really cool science fiction and horror aspect, as well as mind psychology that Chris just does a great job. And the artwork works really well, and the colorings and story flow of it, and even making the little bits, pieces too. Golden Goblin has been a very surprise series the last 2 issues, and I'm really actually enjoying it. However, it still does have some cons. We are getting to the point too where we're seeing the true aspect of Norman getting there, but also we're kind of getting some more story set up too with his persona as the Golden Goblin versus the Green Goblin or even the Iron Patriot. It's nice to see the origins of the current Jack-o'-lantern, Orrin Bentley, and exactly how he became the villain he is, and because of everything going on with the Green Goblin and now Limbo and Dark Web, he basically says, you know what, I tried being the good guy, I might have had the aspect for it, but you know what? I can't escape who I am, and I'm just going to embrace it, which is a nice little segue between Norman and Owen, because you're kind of seeing how that, especially with the legacy of the Goblin and the fact that Jack-o'-lantern always had the little pieces of the Green Goblin. So that's nice, but it does feel like they're trying to do more world building while trying to deal with all these storylines, because like I said with Ms. Marvel, it feels like why Norman has more of a stake in the Dark Web series, everything with Queen Goblin, which is a nice little joke she makes between the Goblin Queen and her. The fact that she's kind of just caught in the middle of this storyline happening when she's got her own plans and they're screwing it all up. So she's going to make them pay before Norman goes helps Peter or anybody else. Because she's like, nope, you're going to deal with me. Don't worry about them. It's a really good story, and I'm actually going to give it a solid B. I really like the psychosis, the artwork, the way the story structure is, and the plotting is actually pretty good. However, once again, we're caught in this storyline and a few other issues, and also we're kind of really seeing Norman is really a screwed up person, and honestly, I wish I could jump up a little more him to actually do his mission to, as he says, kill his sins, so then he'll be free of them forever and be a new Norman Osborn, but we all know that's probably not going to happen, but a good solid B. We're moving up kind of good in the world here, guys. I mean, we're going from the retrogrades. So let's get into the saving the best for last, which, of course, is Lost Hunt by J.M. DeMatteis. And also, of course, I wanted to make sure I got the artwork. So there's actually 2 on Brent Pedler and Edner Maisayan on this, who actually split the story in half. Let's get into the pros. This issue pretty much shows up perfectly by getting inside the head of Gregor, exactly seeing why he wants this revenge on Peter, exactly how his plan is done and how he's gotten in Peter's head, and how he's emotionally connected both through psychology, a little bit of the voodoo magic, as we like to call it, and as well as Peter's own issues and demons now that he's no longer Spider-Man during this storyline. It's well done. It actually gives you the motivations of showing how bad Gregor is, and also a man in pain, and also seeing everything Peter's in pain with, everything he's gone through, everything from stop being Spider-Man, the issues, being a father, no longer having his aunt in his life, how he's trying to restart but he can't escape his past. J.M. does a fantastic job, and I love the fact Mary Jane herself is just dealing with all this pain so much herself, she doesn't know what to do, and she's so conflicted between letting Peter go through the motions and trying to say, you got to snap out of this. I also like the fact that Tracy, our supporting cast member that's been moved in here, is kind of the voice of William, trying to tell Mary Jane, we're going to get through this. Your husband is a good person. You're a good woman. He's going to make it through this, and I can guarantee you that. And I love the fact that the final ending, when it gets revealed, when Gregor actually confronts Peter, and the fact that they start battling each other, that gets revealed at the end, is the fact that Tracy is actually Gregor's mother, which is really, really interesting. And in fact, she might have shown Craven some things of actually how to stop Gregor in the past. So it's a wonderful, cool little out of nowhere cliffhanger, but the pieces are all there. And I love the storylines as we built about what this life was with Peter and Mary Jane Portland. As much as we didn't see much in the original, final chapter way back in the 90s, there's just so much pieces here that JM has been establishing greatly with the cast, the members, and how their lives were kind of picking up there in Portland, Oregon. And I really love that, and I love the fact of how Peter and Gregor, when they're fighting each other, how Peter will not back down and is basically calling him he's a loser and I didn't kill Kraven. You can say whatever makes you sleep at night, Gregor, but you know what? He's the one who killed himself. He's the one who wanted to ruin my life and his life, and you're just some guy who's mad because he died and you're still here. It's great survivor's guilt, and it's also a great part, especially when Gregor finally realizes he's just had enough and he's going to end Peter right there, and him apologize, saying, Mary Jane, I tried to do it and I'm so sorry. This is what my life is. It is so well done. The problem is, brand new day, one more day is really just going to kind of kill all this storyline, which I just love so much. And that's why it gets a con from me, because in the long run, while it might answer some questions and give some more feedback, especially from the writer who has really, really fleshed out the life of Kraven the Hunter and his family lines all these decades, I just feel like in the run, this is a great mini-series, but I know in the end it's going to be a thing, especially just reading the preview for issue 5 that's saying that you're not going to know, and it's going to so much is going to change by the end of this and the ending. So I kind of wonder, like, what's that mean? It gets me more, but it does bring the grade down just a little bit, but it gets a solid A from me, guys. The pain is slowly goes away. And it just takes some good little things with our buddy old JM to make it feel better. So good job, creative team. JM, Ed, everybody, good job on that. Am I done? What time is it? I think it's time to go. In fact, it's snowing outside because I am stuck in Midwest, guys, and I got some snowing to do. So there's my grades for everybody. And of course, as we know, I'll be back next week to review the most latest issue of Dark Web, Amazing Spider-Man 16. Go me, because the pain must come back, and I must endure it, and I must fight through it, just like Peter did through Gregor, and I shall find a way. So for more information, guys, check us out at the SpidermanCrawlspace.com. Check out our Discord for discussion, and of course, our usual monthly podcasts and episodes. Also, check out Patreon if you want to subscribe to that and also help keep on and get some early and great gifts, too, for Spider-Man Crawlspace. And with that notice, guys, I hope everybody has a wonderful holiday weekend. This is, of course, filmed on the 23rd, so I hope, I'm sorry, the 22nd. Yes, 22nd. 22nd, 23rd, 24th, what day is it? I don't know. I can't edit this out. I'm in pain. I gotta go. See everybody later. Bye!